Sweet. Oh. Hello and welcome to the Animates, the show for animators by animators. This week, me and Sedona are going to be looking at some professional work from Kung Fu Panda, the first movie, which is an awesome movie and I think took everyone by surprise. I know it did for me, because it was like Kung Fu Panda, that sounds terrible. And then looking at it, I was like, oh wait, no, this could be okay. And then went to see it and was pretty blown away by how good of a movie it was. And then also, if anyone has any work they'd like us to have a look at and give you some feedback on, then drop the Sync Sketch link into chat, and yeah, we'll try and get a look. I'm just going to quickly check that this is working because I'm getting some messages.
Also, please pardon my microphone sensitivity. I'll try to adjust it because naturally because I'm at a friend's place who they've been kind enough to lend me their laptop, and of course someone just started mowing the lawn across the street. So if I have to go inside, let me know.
Cool. Right, let's get started. Yeah, so again, if you've got any work you'd like us to have a look at, then post up a Sync Sketch link in chat and we'll look at it after we looked at this professional work. So here is the clip. Oh, did I turn the sound off? I turned the sound off. One sec. There you go. Such a cool scene.
That's a very good movie.
Yeah.
So fun fact, apparently. Oh, are you kidding me? I'm so sorry, guys. I'm going inside, I guess, because even though the sun hasn't set,
It's fireworks.
Fireworks. Because of course they. But I don't get to be happy. Maybe I'll do push to talk.
There we go. That's the clip. So, have you got any first thoughts?
One of the first things I noticed during the beginning, it's a more of a thematic thing, but they portrayed it really well in their animation, was I really love the difference between
Yes.
keeping me, I have it muted at the moment, but between the two Sifus, made very symmetrically. The turtle Sifu is portrayed like a lot more asymmetrically and a lot more organically.
Yeah.
I'm curious to know if that was an intentional thing, that they always show the one straight on to show his rigidity, more, organic and willing to fit with the times. But I really liked their take on that.
Yeah, I really love how even when like he's doing this uncurl from the ball thing, I didn't notice at first, but he's actually like resting on his head here, and then he like unhooks it, like, and I never noticed that before. I was like, what is he? What is that? Is that his leg? And no, it's his head. But yeah, like even when he's coming down from this pose and he's looking like really elegant, and you can tell he's like powerful, he has these like little shakes, and you can just tell that he's he's obviously very powerful and knows what he's doing, but he's also frail. And like when you just see all these little like shaking movements, it's like a really lovely touch to show that he's old, you know, and that's something that's really cool. That
Not even necessarily old, but like think about the amount of strength it would take to do something like that.
yeah,
Shake a little when you lift a heavy weight. So I like that there's still it adds an extra feeling of effort to his motions.
yeah. But I think they have it like all the way through with his character. Like even just when he's like blowing out candles, he's got this like shakiness.
Like in his neck.
Yeah. And I love that Shifu is so impatient with this movie. Like I'll just go through in a second how they've like done the camera work beautifully to show how this whole scene leads up to trying to bring out this comedic element, and it's all building off of Shifu, who's this guy, being super impatient and like nervous and worried about the news they're about to get, and Oogway, who's the turtle, is like, it's all good, what will be, and it's all fine, and the dynamic that's played between them and the urgency in the camera just does a really great job of selling that kind of character dimension, where not only have you got these two extremely different characters with different personalities, but it shows in the camera work and it shows in the animation. And I just love that, because I feel like animators tend to animate everyone the same way unless they're purposely going out of their way not to. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's always an expression of what you are like, right? Like if you're a very overactive, fidgety person, playing someone who's very calm and very still is really difficult, right? And I just think they nail it here.
Yeah. That's one thing that they do with a lot of shows, and it was no different from Troll Hunters, but one of the big things that they do when introducing characters to animators is they will do an animation test. All of the characters do the exact same thing, and I'm sure all of you have seen the example from Big Hero 6 where it's each member of the cast entering a cafe and sitting down. And so for Troll Hunters, what they had was stage, and they have like a little wooden sword, and what do they do with the sword? And Jim was much more like, he's sheepish, and then he goes and does like a little gallant thing and then goes back to being meek again. Toby's trying to eat like a taco at the same time and he trips and falls. And Strickler was very like, he came in with his like sword and he picks it up very daintily, and then he changes because, spoiler alert, he's a changeling, and like so he's suddenly, his eyes glow and he cackles and he pulls his sword out and like does this very like evil looking thing, and that's actually how I fell in love with the character. But
nice, yeah, that's awesome.
Those kinds of things are so important for helping enforce the character's personality and making sure that you know how they move and how they act.
Yeah. And something that I'm trying to get better at is playing with camera and environment more. And I feel like someone recently pointed out to me, they were like, oh, do you realize that all of your shots have exactly the same camera positioning? And I was like, what? That is not true. And then I looked, and they're all like slightly to the left. Like they're all like 3/4 on to the left. And like a certain angle, and they're not usually like tilted up or down or anything different. And I was like, oh my god, yeah, like I don't think about the camera enough. So what's really cool about going through this shot is how they've done storytelling, not just through the animation and everything, but the camera so sells it. Like even if these guys were just stick figures, you would probably still be able to get a laugh just out of the words and the camera. So let's just run really quickly through some of the stuff they've used, because I think what I would love to do at some point is to try and do more of a characterful thing where it's not just a piece of dialogue with a static camera, but it's a series of nicely storyboarded moments that sell the character, because I think that's so hard to get right, and they just we can learn a lot. So let's have a look. I've broken some of these bits down, and hopefully it'll be helpful. So first off, we start with this shot of Shifu running. He's just got some news that he needs to come report to Oogway, so he's running. So we get this nice establishing shot of the pagoda, and you got all these like directional lines that are leading our eye into this shot. All these things help to bring us to, him running in, and it's kind of slowly panning, well, not actually slowly, quite quickly actually, panning in, zooming in, and then also tilting down this way. It's kind of bringing us into the folds, into the doors with him. And then if you notice, between these two shots, the camera on screen space is in relatively the same position in the screen. So he's here, he's like here, and then when we flip, he's here. So you can see that it's quite close, and I feel like that's something that I forget to do when I do like a camera cut, to try and help the viewer keep up, is to kind of keep where their eye is roughly in the same place and to lead it around. So we get this lovely little shot.
They also did a really good job of making it so it didn't break like the 180 rule as well. Like they did a really nice, like, not symmetrical, beautiful aerial establishing shot of like coming towards the temple. We're bringing it to like face on. It's still like that 180, like it's not breaking the 180 rule in any way, and it feels like it. Again, it's something you have to really heavily consider with camera work. It can disorient you. The one time you can definitely use breaking the 180 rule to your advantage is for like either a pivotal moment or to create confusion, things like that.
Yeah. And what's lovely is they've like used all the scenery here to like point at the character. Like you can see it's all trying to like lead your eye to the center here. And then what's lovely about this is I almost never use like a front on shot. And it's actually really powerful in making something feel urgent and dramatic, if you play it right, and also for humor. Actually, it's really like quite comedic sometimes to have something that's very front on. So they start with this. They've continued, this kind of zoom and tilt down. That's doing exactly the same thing as you transition between the shots, so it doesn't feel very jarring. So you can
the motion.
The motion feels continuous, so you don't feel like it's jarring. And then again, you've got all these lovely lines leading you to the character's face, and it does this very urgent kind of pan down, zoom, and then the character starts the shot like all the way back here, and then he ends up like right in the center stage. And what they've done actually a lot, which I didn't realize, is the camera is completely still. Like for this whole bit, like it just doesn't move, like none of this like shaky cam, nothing fancy going on. It's just you spending a beat with the character, trying to get his breath, And what's nice is you also get the reveal of Uguay at the same time as the character does, so you're on the same journey with the character. All these lines are leading towards him. He's got this very symmetrical pose, but it makes sense because he's trying to like calm himself. It's not boring. Because everything's already dramatic, this is trying to calm that down, so it's a nice, way of balancing, I guess.
I really appreciated like even closing the doors behind him drew you through his face.
Yeah, and then even here, like he's barely moving, like you just see his mouth. And
I also like the contrast, and this is more of a lighting thing, but the dark of the background in relation to the floor is like such a contrast to his face, and it really, it's really, really solid balance.
Yeah, 100%. It's lovely. And that's another thing, it's like he's bright and everything around him's dark, and he's very much the visual focus of everything.
So the contrast in colors, like everything being blue and green, and him being very orange, which I think is also, again, a lot of reflect his personality. Like orange is like a passionate color, it's an urgent color, it's very different from Boo, who is much more calm and tranquil. Like all of these colors also have such an impact on helping represent the contrast in moods.
Yeah, and then they use his eye to look up to bring us along with him. So when he starts to look up, he starts off, looking down and thinking about what he's saying. And then when he looks up, it gives the camera a chance to look up with us. So we're now, like, from his point of view, he's looking up, we're looking up. It's beautiful. It's like, oh, hey, it's like, the artist is saying, hey, we're about to do a panning up shot. That's what they're saying. They're going, he's looking up and we're about to look up with him. So here we go. He's going to look up, and then we get this lovely establishing shot with Master Uguay. What have I written here? I think I've just done some drawings of... Yeah, so it's, again, you've got this lovely kind of... All these lines are giving us stuff to look at. And again, like when you're looking here, and then in the next shot, if I just like keep my finger on it, it's now in the middle of between these two, right? So your eye isn't having to jump too much. You can see that he's like looking this way. So he's, originally got all your attention because he's like silhouetted and everything, but you can tell from the way this is staged that he's less important right now. Like it's all going up, and then the camera pans up, and he becomes less important, and now it's about this odd shell, and all the lines are like converging into him, and his stick that's also like leading our eye up, along with the camera. And then we get this slow, lovely reveal. I love this so much. It's so cool. He's like, oh, what? It's just a tortoise shell. But wait. Do. And again, like, look how still the camera is here. Like, it really gives you the time. It doesn't do anything. Like, it's just sitting there. Like, for this whole bit. It's just not moving. So it pans up, stops, and then it pans back down. And what kind of struck me with this shot when I was breaking it down is that the camera work is so simple and it's so effective. Like, there's not a single shot that's wasted or not conveying what it needs to convey, but it does a beautiful job. It doesn't have any waste. There's no, oh, I'll pan this way, I'll do this, I'll tilt, I'll add a bit of jitter. Like, it's all so simple, but yet the staging and everything is perfect for the story it's telling, It's
very much a less is more situation.
Yes. And I'd love to try some of this out a bit more. So let's see what we've written here. So then we slowly come back down to Shifu's level with Uguay, and we're following his motion. And then again, it does this lovely thing where he's starting to move this way. So then the camera leads us back into him. So our eye starts kind of coming back this way with him and focusing more on this area, and then it jumps back to Shifu again. And now you can see he's got, let's see. Yeah, time to rest at the end. Yeah, the camera doesn't just stop dead. Like, it stops down here, and then it doesn't keep going. It gives you some time to rest at the bottom, which it does a lot, actually. It has quite a lot of this like ease in and then just stillness before it changes shot, which is really nice. Like, it doesn't constantly move. It has this like break. It has these breaks where it just doesn't move at all. Time to rest, and then you can see the difference in how big Shifu is. He's not like so close up now that it's jarring, but he's in screen space enough that you can see the difference, and you get a nice shot. And then here they've accentuated the space that is either side of him, so you can see here like that there's a conversation happening with another character, because you've got this this extra space to the right where the other character would be.
The other thing I find really interesting about these shots, though, is, again, what I was stressing about symmetry. In a lot of these situations, you would normally have Shifu slightly more to the left and rotated a little more to the right, so that he's actually facing the screen right.
But he's not.
Still so centered.
Yeah.
And again, I think it's that push for symmetry and like strictness we're trying to push for. I don't know. I'm not working on this production. This is like a film theory sort of thing and a symbolism sort of thing, but it really does do a lot, because there is still so much empty space on the left.
Yeah.
See, when you're trying to have someone more on the right that you're talking to, like, again, it's usually like shift like to the left hand side and 3/4 to the right. You follow the rule of thirds a little more closely than you do in something like this, and they don't do that, and I find that really neat.
Yeah. And it also gives you the opportunity to go from Master Uguay being this big to the next shot you see him in, he's so close. Like, he's suddenly like, woof. And it does this, sorry.
also did that same thing where they kept the camera moving like before,
Yeah.
where the camera kind of like shifting
Yes.
to the left,
This
and it continues
motion.
with Oogway as
Ah.
he's moving. The camera is following Oogway more than anything, and I find
Yes.
that really neat because he's kind of in control of the situation.
Yeah. And it's
So
like
I know we're guessing
Oogway's.
more about layout and animation right
Yeah.
now, but man, he's not
Oh.
Sneeze dad. Like, layout the big deal.
You cut out a little bit there. Could you just repeat what you said?
Uh-oh.
No, you're good now.
It's just,
Oh.
is it like layout than animation, but it really drives home the fact how important
Yes.
to production.
And yeah, so now we're in. Oh god, you're cutting out a little bit. We'll give you a quick rest, and then hopefully you'll the internet will catch up. But yeah, no, exactly what you were saying. The camera does this lovely pan, and we kind of follow Oogway around as he moves to the other side of the room. So again, you're expecting Oogway to be coming over this way, because the camera is following him around here, and then even with the eyes, it's moving around. And then what's really nice here is he's got this. He fills up the frame, and he's also still moving this way, which helps with the continuity of everything, and the camera's still moving this way, but you get this like super close-up shot of him for the first time, and it's dead on, and it's just really, really interesting to me that they chose to go that close that quick. Yeah, again, they're still doing this same like camera pan. It's still slightly panning this way, but only a little bit, just to keep that sense. But then it stops here at the end. The camera just stops completely, and you get the sense that Oogway again has stopped moving, right? And then you have this really comedic moment where he keeps trying to blow these candles out, and the camera is just still, right? Like, I think that's one of the big things this movie has done to sell this moment, is that the camera is just feeling awkward right now. It's like, sit with these characters feeling awkward. Like, look how awkward this is. And then you get this lovely kind of establishing shot of everything suddenly becoming more serious. It's like, whoosh. And the music changes a little, and then it gets serious again. Yeah. Sorry, yeah, you're back now.
Another animation thing that I would like to kind of gush about in this little candle blowout scene is, again, the contrast in these characters from a motion perspective. Oogway is very slow and deliberate in everything that he does, and he takes all the time he needs to do whatever he needs to do. Whereas Shifu, and you can see it, he's restrained here, but everything is either still or it's rapid. And so he's twitching, his eyes are darting in a way that Oogways never do.
Yeah.
Like, Oogway, even looking over at Shifu, his eyes were very, like, looked back, but it always felt slow and deliberate.
And I love the way that they set up this shot of
the contrast in these two characters,
yeah, of him like about to speak, and they're setting up this comedic moment of him like being like, and now I'm going to talk to you, and even like you can tell by Shifu's face here, like he looks up, he's like, oh, he's ready to talk now, and then he just blows out another candle, and that's it's like, oh, okay, and then you cut to this shot, this reaction shot of Shifu being like, ah.
you know he's absolutely trolling his student.
Yeah, and he just can't take it, and he's so still except for his mouth gaping open and this little eye twitch of just like, ugh. And just how they've played with the shape of the eyeballs here. Like, even if you look at the pupils, one is like this and the other is more circular. Like, it's been pulled by the oh, that's a terrible drawing, but like one pupil's like more oval and the other's more circular, and then you can kind of feel that contrast, which is super cool. And then again, you cut to this really dramatic shot, actually, of all the massive pillars and this hexagonal, is it hexagonal shape? Yeah, I think it's hexagonal shape, and again in the middle, and all this symmetry, like kind of bringing it back home, I think.
More of an octagon because Jack Black.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Octagon.
But yes, I love the sheer difference in speed of these two characters. And you know that Shifu is trying really hard to be like
Yeah.
he can't because he's still got a lot to learn in spite of the fact that he is a master.
Yeah. And I love
And
that this whole bit here, Uguay, like this little bit here, I would have been like, okay, the camera's gonna kind of do like this motion to like follow the camera, but it doesn't. Like it just stays exactly where it needs to be. You know, and even here, like the camera is not moving. It's fine to just let it be that. And then you know it gives this respite for when it suddenly goes into this super powered charge mode where like all the things are happening. So it's kind of preparing you for like this is a very serious moment and just focus on what you're saying and we don't need to do any fancy camera work. And then we jump into this like terrified look of, you know, Shifu's looking super symmetrical, you know, eyes and everything are just, and then everything again is leading towards him, you know, all these lines. Even this is pointing at him, which is lovely. And he suddenly looks really small, you know, for the first time. He suddenly looks pretty dinky. And then they do this like super zoom, whoosh. Yeah, look at his eyes there. And then suddenly it has like a little ease out again, like it goes in and then it eases back out a little.
overshoot.
Yes, that's exactly what I mean. Overshoot. So it has this nice like woof kind of thing, and it cuts this lovely 2D. I think 2D? No, I think it might be 3D actually, but it's done in a 2D style.
Because at least some of it is. Or no, those probably renders. I'm just
Yeah, this looks like a render to me.
probably. Yeah, they look like renders. Different lighting on Shifu. Not Shifu. What's his name?
Tai Lung.
I watched that movie.
And then when he's got these like bright orange eyes that are super scary looking, and it's got this big like blue and orange and it's super dramatic, and they have these keep doing these like white flashes. And then what's really cool is the kind of angry look that Tai Lung has with the orange eyes suddenly cuts to Shifu having this like scared look, but with the orange eyes. And maybe I'm reading into this a bit too much, but I thought that was like representative of him having the vision for one, but also maybe that they're tied. Like he's kind of got the orange eyes, and then yeah, maybe
it helps with like easing out of the continuity.
Yes,
it's like a residual. It's a bit of both, I think.
Yeah, and then again we're zooming out and stopping. He's saying this is impossible, and yeah, and then I was interested in this, right, because they've gone for a low angle here, which makes, you know, if your you know character is like this, and your camera is pointed down like this, it gives your character a more powerful look. Whereas if your camera is up high and looking down, it gives your character a more vulnerable look. So I was interested that they chose this angle. But actually, it's because he's like saying all these like fighting words. I think he's like, that's impossible, and he's just kind of looking sad. And I love that this shot of Uguay has just not changed. Like it's exactly the same. He's like, yep, this is just a thing. And then now they go for this down shot where he's like, ugh. And you really feel it. Like he goes from being, where is it?
I love the movement on his ears.
Yeah, I know, right? Where is it? Yeah, so this to that, and you just feel like, oh, he's scared, and you get the symmetry again. Like he's like, oh my god, you know, before they break it. You really feel that he's just scared, and he's coming back, and he's shocked, and suddenly he feels very vulnerable and small. And then, yeah, again, so he's leaving this way, and then now he's going to be coming in this way to keep that continuity. And they've chosen this very serious dead-on shot, which is also about to lead into the comedy element. I think this maybe being seriousness and comedy are hand in hand when it comes to these kind of shots. I don't know. But suddenly he's kind of trying to take up more of the frame than this messenger bird. Like all his posing is very like rah, and he's like, oh god. And then even in this shot, he's like all the way back here in the frame, and Shifu is like rah, and like he's got that like powerful look again. So now we're looking at him, and he's looking very powerful again. And then it does this quick zoom, whoosh, oh, get on with it. And then he even like comes out of the frame. He's like, ugh. And Shifu is dominating right now. Everything. He's like, get on with it. Oh, go do the thing. Which is really cool way of making him feel super powerful. And then again, he leaves. He does like a nice little curve exit. And then we get this shot where he just smacks into the post, which I think is really funny again, because like the camera just becomes really still and flat, and it just lets us see this moment in all its glory. You know, it's just like, oh, this is awkward now.
That was also a lot of foreshadowing, like the feathers trailing behind. That was something they also needed to heavily establish with the clumsiness of the ducks and the fact that the feather was integral to his escape. It was, I don't know, that was a good, gosh, that's a good movie.
Yeah, man, it was, this scene, when I started breaking it down, I was like, wow, this is really lovely, like how they've done this. And you know, even the kind of zoom moments are kind of you know, more exaggerated than you might see in other like films and things, but it really works to kind of sell this like high drama, high tension moment, and then this sudden relief when he just fucks up. He's like, boom, oh no. And yeah, I just I'd love to break that down a bit more and figure out why that works so well with the comedy, because I feel like when I saw this in the cinema, everyone laughed at that moment. And I think it's just because it just builds up with this like, oh my god, everything's really serious and it's dramatic, and this kind of 1, 2, 3 cut where it keeps getting closer, 1, 2, 3. You know, it's always cutting in closer. It's not really changing except to make Shifu look more dramatic, and then suddenly it's just bomb. And then again, he's looking like super tiny here. But yeah, so that's the staging. Having a look at that, which I found super interesting, really. A to the J is recommending the book Film Directing Shot by Shot Visualizing from Concept to Screen, book by Stephen D. Katz, which is apparently a good starter book, which I would definitely like to look at, because I did like media when I was in school for my A-levels, but I feel like I'd love to like re-look at it again from an animator's perspective. Oop, microphone fell over.
There was a question, and I'm not sure if I'm understanding it well. I'm not sure if Calidus 42 can elaborate. The question of what was the reason of the shot of the character from a top angle, as he is the master of Panda?
As he is the master of Panda.
I'm not sure if I'm just not parsing that properly. It's been a weekend.
Yeah, give us a little bit more info on that. I'm not 100% sure what you mean. And don't forget, if you want to have your work critiqued, then drop a sync sketch link in and we will have a look at it. If not, we are happy to just keep looking at this stuff. So I've also broken down some of the posing, I think, was it here? Yeah, in this moment, because I just feel like it was really well done for Oogway's reveal. So it's, you know, super simplistic here, and then it's got this lovely kind of gentle curve like this, and with the arm coming out, and it's just very balanced. And then again, it's kind of starting to unravel, and I think this bit he's actually got his head in the stick thing with the little balance bit.
Yeah, so I do think that, again, this scene is a very good example of balance when you talk about symmetrical versus asymmetrical balance. And Shifu versus Oogway is just such a beautiful example of both of those things. Like how Uguay is coming down. Like it feels balanced, but it's not symmetrical.
Yeah.
And I really, really love that no matter what happens with Uguay, he always feels slightly more balanced than Shifu.
Yeah. He's more in
Shifu,
control. He's the master.
like everything about Shifu again is the straight rigidness, and this is also a really good example of contrast of shapes, contrast of
Yeah.
color, contrast of motion. I just, yeah, sorry, this is fun.
Yeah.
But no, the amount the I can't even begin to imagine like how much effort it took to make sure that Shifu coming down off that stick felt right.
Yeah. His head does this lovely little like bob thing. Let me just play it for you. In here, you'll see what I mean. I tried to break down the arcs, but I couldn't find a way. You'll see here. I kind of tried to do. If I turn ghosting on, I tried to do all these like marks for the shapes, but it didn't really work really clearly. So I think sticking to the posing's probably a better idea. But yeah, his head kind of bobs down, and this lovely little squash and stretch type thing. And you can tell it's professional work because it was really hard to find where the core poses are, because everything flows and moves at a different rate. Nothing ever like sticks for too long, and something's always like in motion when something else is still. In terms of not like everything's in motion, but there's a lovely flow to everything, and it's not all in the same timing. It doesn't all stick, or just kind of. It's now the legs turn, and then now the body's turn, and it all has.
It's always moving.
Yeah.
It never feels like.
Yeah.
It's that pose to pose versus, like, it's not even a pose. It's just the way that Shifu stands in relation to how Shifu moves versus to how Uguay moves. Just Shifu is so pose to pose.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to say that about Uguay.
Yeah. Like if I was animating this, I would have thought like, oh, like maybe I'll give like the tail some extra, like, kind of sway here to make it feel. But no, they keep it. It comes up here, and it has this like little like floop type motion here, but then it just settles basically just into this shape. Like it doesn't really move after that. It's just like cool being there. It doesn't have any like interesting flick round or anything when it gets to the bottom. It doesn't need it.
Every motion is deliberate.
Yeah, it's very thought out, and you can see what I mean about his head having this kind of squash and stretch, kind of whoop 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 type motion when he comes down. Can you see? It's like here, this bit. It's like he's got this kind of like type motion. But yeah, it's gorgeously done. And I also just quickly looked at this moment with Shifu over here, because it's like really dramatic.
I really need to stress that none of that is in any way like a knock on Shifu's character. Like everything we're saying about Shifu is more just, it's like the anti-Uguay, or
it's supposed to be.
And like so much about what makes Shifu Shifu is how he moves, how everything is rigid, and how it's very like snappy and very and fast.
This is just one frame.
How his personality is, and to emphasize personality, it's so much fun. I
love this. Bum 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 bum.
Those are my jam. Look at that.
Yeah, it's just lovely.
Damn, look at that smear. Actually, maybe that's something we should do a talk on one day, Haley. Smears. Because smears are so integral to keyframe animation.
Yeah. Ooh. But yeah, it's a shame that the motion blur kind of covers most of the. I really wanted to see what the breakdown was of these poses because they look really fun.
I'm curious to see if you can find like progress shots of these scenes because I bet you could.
Yeah, and again, I love the contrast between like this eyebrow and this. Like this eyeball is just cool. Like what's going on with it? And it's exaggerated with the. It's complementing by the eyebrow. Yeah. And then also like even when he stops, like his ears have a little bit of settle in them. He comes back.
Overshoot and settle are so important.
Yeah, otherwise it would feel too abrupt.
It's something that I had to actually add at the last minute on the animation I just finished up because I realized like I'd added an end, but I was like, no, it needs more settle, and I added another like 20 frames just so that I could like and feel more settled. It's like that those last few frames are very important.
Yeah. I know this has been mostly about the setup than the animation, but for me, I was starting to break down the animation side, and then I got enraptured by how cool the camera work was, and like how simple it is. Like it's so minimal, and every shot is necessary for new emotion, character change, feeling. You're never lost. There's your eye always follows, like even in this shot just right at the start where it goes from being super high up to super close really quick, like because your eye is looking at the same pace, boom, here, even though a lot's changed, you can keep up with it because they've set it up in such a way that you can do that.
It's stuff like that just blows my mind. Like just things you learn about what changes a sequence from good to great.
Yeah. Cool. So last chance, if anyone has any critique work, any personal work they've been working on, they'd like us to have a look at, final chance.
Yeah.
But if not, this has been fun. What did you say?
So no worries if you don't, though. Like.
Yeah, this has been fun.
Oh yeah. Actually, did we ever end up actually talking? Like, I know we talked about it before the stream, but we were talking about Oogway. His shake.
Yeah.
Did we actually talk about that on stream or no?
Yeah, I think we did.
Okay, like okay.
Yeah.
Recall anymore. I know we gushed about this a lot before the stream.
Yeah.
So.
I think it's most noticeable when he's speaking, like in this bit here. This little sequence.
An important thing when helping emphasize strength.
Oh, thank you very much for the follow.
For the follow? Oh, nice. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, one of the things that that really helps emphasize like a struggle, even a minute one, like just to really help push something being difficult, is adding a little bit of shake to whatever they're like on. It's
and you've got the movement in the neck here, like whoop.
Yeah. If you're trying to do any sort of sequences, for instance, because like one of the common animation school exercises is like, this person's lifting a box, make it feel heavy. How do you make it feel heavy? And that muscle shake that you get, especially when you're lifting something heavy, is something that can add an insane amount of information to the viewer. It's those tiny little jitters that you don't normally think about. They have such a huge importance in helping emphasize the amount of effort someone is putting into something.
I love how comical this pose is. He just looks like he's gonna say something. He's like, and
oh, it was great.
And
it's just no. Oogway was a great character, and I can watch it, like you realize, because he's clearly trolling his student, and I love that, because at first you're like, he's just focusing on the candles. No, he's totally screwing with Shifu there. So much. It's those little things that really make you appreciate movies like this. About this movie,
like
also,
how still he is here as well. He's like, and he's like, whoosh.
really emphasizes the anticipation and it catches you off guard, and that is good comedic timing. I love comedic timing.
Yeah, it's something that I haven't figured out yet, but it really fascinates me. And there's this like 3 thing that happens. I think he does the candle thing 3 times. So he's, let me see. He's like
Just enough to
1,
like frustrate even the viewer.
yeah, 2, 3, and then he's like, and we're done. Well, no. But like I think there's a thing about subverting audience expectations, and I think the audience always think things are going to come in like 3 is the most common one. So it's like if you've seen something happen like once and then twice, you're like, okay, here comes the 3rd. And like, for example, if someone like raises their hands to hit a piano key and then they do it again and they're about to do it again and they fall off the chair or something, like that's funny because you're saying, here's what you expect, and now we're not going to give it to you. And I think that's you know, or like when the duck's going to fly away, you're like, yep, he's off, he's going to go, and then he's like, oh, and it's funny. Yeah, cool. All right, well, this has been fun. I hope everyone's having a lovely bank holiday weekend, and if not, hopefully you're in America and you get one next weekend. But yeah, it's been fun. I've had a lot of fun breaking this one down. There's a ton of awesome movies out there that I do not get the time to sit down and analyze, and oh my god, there's so many gems, and I have so much to learn about how to do these scenes well, and especially from a camera point of view, because I feel like I've had it taught, but you know, I usually rely on someone else to kind of do the breakdowns for me and to get this in my personal work, and even just stuff like, you know, being able to draw the eye to characters, you know, and have these things happening in the environment where it's pulling you and your attention, you know, to these certain areas, is really cool, because I feel like camera and background and staging are all things that we try and do last minute, or it is for me, and I want to get better at that. So cool.
Yeah.
Any last comments?
I have one weird little tidbit fact about this movie. Kung Fu Panda is considered one of the most Chinese culture movies there actually is. Like, to the point where even Chinese studios are like, how is this DreamWorks animated movie the most authentic thing we have? You can actually read up on it a little bit. So well researched in regards to just making it as true to China as you can with a ridiculous Kung Fu Panda, or like Kung Fu movie with with anthropomorphic characters. And it's like, it definitely blows Disney out of the water. Like there's it's things to really add to how good of a movie this is the amount of love and care that they put into it from every single angle.
This little introduction bit where Shifu runs in and then is like, oh my god, I'm gonna do that, I want to talk, but okay, wait, okay, breathe, and hello, master. And he like, I love that little moment they take to like amp all this tension up and then be like, okay, I need to calm myself. And then this super slow reveal of the master, and it's just kind of just the way they build this tension. He's wringing his hands. He's like, oh, I really want to tell what's gone wrong. And Ugo's like, yeah, whatever. Just gonna blow out these candles. I'm chill. It's all good.
Well, like, this scene was like, you called for me.
Yeah.
I'll tell you in a minute.
Yeah.
By the way, your psycho student like is gonna break out.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even realize it. He does this like nice little blink blink thing. He has one eye closed and then one eye and then the other eye, and then there's like one eye comes open first.
Reflections.
I love his mouth is all. Oops. Yeah. I love his mouth is all kind of in like this, like an old granddad.
The jaw opening, but the lips not, just stuff like that.
Yeah. Poof. Wow.
Yeah, there's a lot to really be said about. Yes.
And it's like, even when his mouth is coming into this shape, like watch his nose move up. And then down again.
Yeah.
You can see
Like
there's
that
like
little head tilt,
animation
yeah.
on the nose because of the lip sync. Or like when he's moving, this blink he does, where he kind of goes, it's like he can't believe his eyes. Like, oh my god, are you kidding me? And then he's awkward, he's like, should I? This is
It's little subtle
calm.
acting things like that that really drive your like animation to the next level.
Yeah. Cool, alright, well, it's been fun. Next time, we'd love to see some of your work so we can do some critiques of your stuff, but until then, we're going to be doing more live animating and more professional work reviews, because I think it's always great to learn from the masters. And, you know, when you get feature films like this, there's always stuff to learn, and I'd love to, like, look at how things have changed with, like, the new Incredibles movie and Frozen, and even, like, you know, Spider-Verse, and just see the different ways of animating and stuff. But this will be up online on the-animates.com, the website, and on our YouTube channel, which you can get to on the website. There's like a button for it, and we also have a Discord that you should go visit because there's a bunch of awesome people on it. But until then, we'll see you next week.
All right, have a good one, guys.
Sunday. Have a good weekend. Bye.